Domestic workers' abuse. This editorial highlights the widespread abuse and exploitation of domestic workers in Pakistan. The abuse of domestic workers has become alarmingly commonplace across Pakistan, with countless cases of mistreatment, violence, and even death emerging regularly. Alarmingly commonplace means something happens so often that it has become a serious concern. Mistreatment refers to unfair or cruel treatment, and emerging regularly means new cases continue to surface frequently. The tragic case of 12-year-old Ikra, who succumbed to injuries allegedly inflicted by her employers, is yet another sad reminder of the unchecked exploitation within this sector. Succumbed to injuries means she died due to the harm she suffered. Allegedly inflicted means that the injuries were supposedly caused by her employers, but have not yet been legally proven. Unchecked exploitation refers to continuous abuse without intervention or consequences. While arrests may follow such incidents, they do little to address the systemic failures that allow such abuse to persist. Systemic failures are deep-rooted problems in the legal and social system that enable abuse to continue. Persist means to keep happening over time. Despite the critical role domestic workers play in households across the country, their rights remain largely unrecognized. Critical role means they perform essential tasks in households. Largely unrecognized means their importance is ignored and their rights are not acknowledged. With an estimated 8.5 million domestic workers in Pakistan, many of whom are young girls, labor protections remain minimal and enforcement is virtually non-existent. Labor protections refer to laws that ensure fair working conditions. Virtually non-existent means these protections are so weak that they are almost meaningless. The informal nature of domestic work, coupled with societal acceptance of child labor, has created an environment where abuse is not just possible, but increasingly routine. Informal nature means domestic work is unregulated and not properly monitored. Coupled with means combined with increasingly routine suggests that abuse has become a normal occurrence rather than a rare incident. The issue is not merely of legislation, but of accountability. Not merely of legislation means the problem is not just about making laws. Accountability refers to holding employers responsible for their actions. While Pakistan has ratified international conventions against forced and child labor, enforcement mechanisms remain weak. Ratified international conventions means Pakistan has officially agreed to follow global laws against child labor. Enforcement mechanisms are the systems and authorities responsible for making sure laws are followed. Laws meant to protect domestic workers exist in some provinces, but implementation is sporadic, and violations rarely lead to serious consequences. Sporadic implementation means these laws are applied inconsistently. Rarely lead to serious consequences means that abusers often go unpunished. As a result, workers, especially children, continue to endure exploitative conditions with little recourse. Endure exploitative conditions means they suffer from unfair and harsh working conditions. Little recourse means they have very few options for seeking justice or help. Many domestic workers have reported working in conditions that are unsafe and unsanitary, with little or no legal recourse when subjected to mistreatment. Unsafe and unsanitary means dangerous and unhygienic. Legal recourse means the ability to seek legal action against wrongdoing. There must be a fundamental shift in how society perceives domestic work. Fundamental shift means a major change in mindset. Perceives means views or understands. Employers must be held accountable, domestic workers must be registered and protected under labor laws, and strict monitoring mechanisms must be put in place. Held accountable means they must face consequences for mistreating workers. Strict monitoring mechanisms means strong systems to track and prevent abuse. Additionally, greater public awareness is needed to challenge the deeply ingrained notion that domestic workers are expendable or undeserving of basic rights. Greater public awareness means educating people about the issue. Deeply ingrained notion means a belief that has existed for a long time. Expendable means seen as easily replaceable and not valued. Else, the cycle of abuse will continue, with more innocent lives lost to society's neglect. Cycle of abuse means repeated patterns of mistreatment. Society's neglect refers to the failure of the public and authorities to take action against this injustice.